Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotel. And today we have Nick from Amaze in the house. As you know, this podcast is sponsored by the California Lodging and Investment Conference. Make sure you join us at Click Connect coming in March. All right. How's everything going, buddy? Good to see
Well, it's great to be with the Michael Jordan of the hospitality industry, Bruce Jordan. I've been following your content for quite some time and extremely excited to get to first meet you in person,
you.
which we got to do last night, and now to be able to sit down and just have a chat with you. So very excited to be here.
Listen, I'm glad you're here because to answer some of the harder questions that not many people can have, and of course we want to talk about software and everything that's going on in this industry. It has taken like a crazy turn. Like when we first started out software, well, there was only like a couple of companies. You know what I mean? Like over like in the 90s and 2000s, there's a couple of companies, and then all these companies they come and go because they realize they built this amazing product and then they realize that these these hotels, they don't wanna change. Like, they love the wheel, like, they still think the greatest invention is the wheel, you know what I mean? Like, and they don't wanna change the wheel, for a hover bike. So, so tell us, like, some of the struggles that you face, in this industry with hotels and some of the things that we can do to try to, open the doors to get these amazing softwares in our portfolio, starting with Amaze, of course.
That really helps, Bruce. And so I have been doing this for quite some time. When you talk about the 90s, I was in the industry and
Mm.
working back in the 90s. I'll say late 90s. So I'm older now, but not quite so old. But I was part of, in my earliest days of selling sales and catering software for Newmarket, the Delphi product. At that time, some of the people I was calling on did not even have fax machines. So, and there was no Google to look things up. So literally it was true cold calling where you were calling in and almost every call would start with people saying, but we don't have computers. Like, so that was part of the conversation was, this is what computers and automation can do for you. And then as it transitioned, they started having them for the property management system, but that was really it. So in the sales office, they had literally a giant book, and that book was made by a company called Hodges and Irvine. And then you would have to go in and erase, and then people may go in and like erase my booking so they could put theirs in there. So then there would be someone that had to be in control of the book and lock it up. And so then when Delphi first started, it was really revolutionizing the industry and showing a different way in order to book the business. And I did not come up through hotels, but I know hotels extremely well because when I was starting with Newmarket, I had to do essentially a Hotel 101 class, and I had to learn how hotels worked in that manual process. So my uncle, who is the founder of the company, literally made me have a guest room control log, which was a written document that showed these are all the group rooms moving around, and then the function book with all the space that move around. And then he would have me go through the manual process, write everything down, and then he would grab me at a random time and say, oh, our group, we need to move our lunch from this time to this time, and we need to change it. So, and then I'd have to write down, these are all the changes. I would go to the book and then I would do all of this, and then he would move it again and say, what happened with this? And then, so I had to do that part first and then understand the software and how it would operate and go through there. And then with that, and at the time, I didn't know why he was doing it. I thought it was more of like a make work project,
Yeah.
keep busy. He wanted me to understand those challenges and problems that were faced, which interestingly are the same challenges that are faced by hotels now, but there's automation that allows you to do things in a way. But at that time, there really were not. So
Wow.
seeing those efficiencies and what happened. And then so your question is how I wound up kind of on Amaze, and it is, so I spent literally decades on that side of it. And the solutions I worked with did an exceptionally good job of managing the business going through there. One of the big challenges, though, is on the reporting side and understanding. So, for instance, function space utilization. How much are we generating per square foot of meeting space? are we operating as optimally and efficiently as we can? Some of those things are a little harder to get. And then the other part is you have various hotel companies and brands that have different standards for sales and catering systems.
Absolutely.
So in that scenario, you have, let's use Aimbridge as an example. There are 1,163 hotels in North America. Those hotels were using Delphi, CITY, a few on STS, Hyatt Envision. So when they looked to understand how are we doing from a pace and performance standpoint, they would need to go to all of these different places in order to pull that together. When Amaze Insights partnered with Aimbridge, we were able to take what was 6 or 7 hours of reporting on Sunday nights and bring that down to literally a few minutes.
Nice.
Because we had that single pane of glass view to understand exactly what's happening and where things are coming from. So it's been a really exciting and fun journey for me so far.
Man, what about the integration? Like one of the things that really deter hotels away from, most software is the integration process and the integration costs. Like the integration cost is like crazy. I never heard these numbers before. I'm like, I could get a new car.
Yeah. So, and I love that you said that. And that's the other part is as we were building this company, one of the things we wanted to do was be incredibly easy to work with. So what we looked at is just as you mentioned, the integration costs and how much it costs to actually deploy. And we went with an extremely simple process where there is one onboarding cost, which covers the training and setting everything up. And then just an annual subscription that covers everything you need as part of it. So there's no extra integration costs or fees or hidden downside surprises. Because I know that part can be really challenging when you are budgeting for something and you think, okay, this is everything I'm going to need. And then you have integration costs on or anything that is a negative surprise where something winds up being more expensive than what you had anticipated.
Yeah.
We really wanted to avoid having those downside surprises. And I do know a lot of companies are also trying to avoid having those surprise costs as well and trying to keep that down. And with the modern architecture, I think companies are indeed getting better with modern APIs to be able to do this. In fact, actually, I have the T100 pin on right here. So that's the other part where that's the group of, I would say, 100 people here in Global Technology. It's actually 104 right now. So hopefully I'm not one of the 4 that gets laughed off to take it back so they don't have to update the pins. But what we're doing with the T100 is looking at things like the integration costs to try and ensure companies are embracing the modern standards to make things as seamless as possible and work together. So that's something outside of what I'm doing with Amaze where and I was very excited when Jeff Bezdakwa reached out to me and asked if I would join this because I feel like this industry has given me so much and I really do want to have a chance to give back and be part of this group of leaders that are looking to really help all of the hoteliers be able to operate their tech stacks in the way that makes the most sense.
The reason why most hotels choose software is because it either saves a lot of time, which of course saves a lot of labor, or it makes us a lot of money. So what are the two things that Amaze does that makes that happen?
So I those are great questions. And the key is we do look to both save you costs, which that is time. So by more efficiently handling your reporting and your data needs, you're able to save money and understand, are we operating as efficiently as we possibly can? And then the other part is how do we help you to make more money? So what we've done is we have the ability to truly understand your demand patterns, where your business is coming from, and then even get down to not just those lead sources, but on your sales team, what is your conversion percentage by lead source? And how can I focus my people in the way that is going to be the most efficient? And what we've done now is we've trained a data model with our customers' own data. So we'll be releasing this in Q1 of 2025, where we then score the leads to understand, based on historicals and how you have performed, which are the leads that are most likely to convert, and how do we focus our resources on those leads in order to, because earlier it was the first response advantage. You wanted to be the first one to respond to a lead in order to win that business, which I think that part still is important. But to me, what is even more important is capturing the opportunity on the right lead that is the right piece of business for your hotel at that point in time, and the ability to focus your resources in winning those leads that are going to be most profitable in the long term for your hotel. So we're extremely excited about that.
You know, the hard part for hotels is that software tells the truth. So, okay. So
Right,
there's
right.
you can't glaze over or finesse your way out of it. I seen it install some systems, and when the system gets installed, the software pretty much says, "You guys suck." So what are the steps that they should take after, software tells them the truth?
I love that, Bruce, and I would like to say that our software is not telling people, "You guys suck," but what we do have is, and I'm glad you brought that up, and what's funny is that wasn't a setup, but we do have a data quality audit report that looks at your sales and catering system, and we'll say, instead of "You guys suck," we'll say, "Here are some areas for improvement that you look at." And one of the things that we found consistently with every single one of our implementations is, as soon as the team knows that you have the ability to see this performance, we have a chart that shows how well these hotels are following your standards and procedures. And literally, at least so far, 100% of the time after implementing, the trend line goes up, because just by knowing that you have the capability to track this, it adjusts the behavior, and then you start seeing better outcomes. So that's something where it is an unintended positive ancillary benefit of our tool, that it has a wider range, I think, than even we knew when we were first launching and putting this out there. That it's not just that you would have a better handle on it, but as you started to get that better handle on this, because your team knew this was the case, they were going to do a better job of meeting your standards, procedures, and everything that's there.
Nice, nice. Support, I think that's like one of the number one reasons why a lot of people are like, I don't want to do it, because they don't know what the support is like. So tell me about the support with the Maze.
So we have an exceptionally strong customer success team, and that's where we focused on bringing the right people together for the right things. And then we have focused on a live person. So even though there are tools and automations that you can use, which we will deploy behind the scenes, what we found is there is still nothing that provides as good of an outcome as being able to get an actual live person connected to you in in real time, to be able to say, "This is what I'm seeing, this is the challenge." So as we're doing our deployments, we do them as video calls, so that we're seeing the person going back, and what that does is it humanizes it instead of putting you into a queue and going through there. So
Nice.
we've seen a great deal of success with that, and that's where what is incredibly important to us is the customer. That is what we know. We are there for you, and we want to make sure that you have the best outcomes, and live people is still, I think, the best way for that.
Okay, give me the top three things everyone should look for when they're implementing like a new software. Like,
That's a great question. This is outside of us. What I would say as the number one, it's the people behind that company. Because at the end of the day, tech is extremely important. But what you'll find is, with any software implementation, there are going to be hurdles and there are going to be challenges. That is just a fact, and that's part of it. What you want to know is this a company that's going to stand behind that? So I would say, number one to me is the people. Number two, the actual product. So the feature set, functionality, does it meet the needs and going through there? And I do think that does come just behind the people, because if you don't have the right people, even if it's the best tool in the world, it's going to wind up being a frustrating experience for you because of exactly what's happening.
Sure.
And then the third, which I do think it falls pretty significantly below those first two, is price. You do want to make sure it's at a price that makes sense and where the investment is going to have an ROI. But where the way I look at it is during the commercial process, price is a lot of times pushed kind of to the top of that list. But when you think about it, the joy of a low price, although that may feel good in the moment that you're doing it, that fades away a little bit, and you're going to have the product and the people. That's going to be what you're in it for the long term. So that's what I would say as those top three would be: the people, the product, the price. So looking at that. So there's more to it, but, and of course nuance, but just as I'm looking at it, those are the items that I would really focus on.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Listen, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you.
So I am very easy to find on LinkedIn. Say, sir, Nick Horgan. Bruce was telling me I need to post more, so he said I really need to be willing to get my face out there. And then Amaze Insights is amazeinsights.com. And we would love to hear from you, and really appreciate spending some time with you today, Bruce. Truly one of the titans of our industry, and I feel fortunate to have been able to be in your presence and spend a little time with you today, Bruce. So thank you.
I appreciate you. And thank you for joining us for another episode. And this is Bruce Jordan of Michael Jordan Hotels, signing out. This episode was brought to you by the Hotel Revenue Bible, the #1 hotel revenue book that has ever been written. It includes revenue management, digital ads, social media marketing, sales, catering, F&B, and more. Grab your copy today at hotelrevenuebible.com.